I want to share with you a tiny, like 5-minute routine that I do with my feet mostly every morning before I get out of bed. Because I used to wake up, especially right after my son was born, my feet felt like cement blocks. I would get out of bed and I'd be like, oh, and I'd sort of stumble along, and they just felt like these cubes that weren't even flesh attached to my feet. I've done a lot of work on my feet since then, but I love doing this before I get out of bed because it feels great. It reminds me to use my feet throughout the day so they don't get blocky. And in those early days, before I'd done a bunch of work on my feet, I also would just sit on the edge of my bed and grab a tennis ball or a golf ball and roll out the bottoms of my feet in the morning, and that always helped. When you have young kids, you can't always do that because sometimes they're waking up from a nightmare and screaming. You just don't really have that chance. But it's so nice when you do. So anyways, this is what I do in the morning before I get out of bed. I don't even think about it now. I just do it and it feels so good. So, my pajama pants on. Let's just see. I think you can see my feet there. So I'm laying in bed. I'm like, oh yes, here we go. Time to get up. I just start pointing and flexing my feet a few times, right? I'm just grooving that motion and really going to the extreme that I can with that. But I usually do some circles in both ways. And then, different than pointing, I like scrunch my feet up, like I'm trying to make fists with them. And then I try and spread them out like I was spreading my fingers. And if you have a hard time with this, doing it with your hands too can help. That really wakes things up. And then I always do this with my knees where I'm thumping them on the ground. Just because it helps to get the blood flow going and the lymph happening. There's some nodes in behind the knee. And that's it. If I do one other thing, it's a stretch with my arms overhead. Often I'll push against the headboard, and then I'll really work at pushing these ribs into the ground instead of stretching and arching up, because I get a whole bunch more shoulder mobility. If I keep my rib cage down, all of a sudden the stretch is here, and I really love that. All right, try it out. If you try it out or you're going to try it out, let me know.